to do. I hope you're doing fine, 'cause it's Q&A time again. Hello, world. How's it going? I hope you guys are all doing great. If not, as always, I hope it gets better for you. So, tonight's live stream, we should have a little better quality live stream than we have the last couple weekends, because I had run out of, like, they give you unlimited data, but then they like bog you down after a while. So that's renewed, and hopefully we get some better quality tonight than what we have had the last couple nights. Mosquito trying to eat me. I hope not. But hello everybody in the chat. Glad to see you guys all in here. And welcome to another Friday Night Live Q&A, where you can ask me questions and the community any questions you have with freshwater aquarium keeping, whatever it may be. And we'll help you out with your issues. Kind of like a support system for y'all. And yeah, they do. They'll throttle that data. And with downloading as many videos as I have been recently, it's really been eating through my data. But if you guys haven't seen, I have caught you guys all up pretty much almost into real time of what's going on around in the fish room. Had all the Hurricane Idalia stuff, what went on that week. I just pretty much made a video of what happened that week, what I did, kind of what you see as a member from way ahead. But I think I'm going to change things up coming forward here with content. I'm going to keep making you guys content, but I'm going to have like actual specific videos of like questions and things that you guys do ask me, more in-depth kind of stuff into that, more focused, topic-driven videos. Now that I'm starting to get through a lot of the build, I still got a bit of the water change system to build through here, but it's getting so much closer to getting into those sort of videos, which I think a lot of you guys been waiting for. And of course, we got to do a fish room tour of the whole fish room before I start moving things around into the whole new fry rack fry system. And I will continue to ramble on about stuff and myself until people do ask me questions. Daniken Aquatics, member for 48 months, says, make some content with a new Oscar, LOL. So Daniken Aquatics was, him and I were chatting last night, and him and I can just talk forever on the phone. He's like one of those people you call up, you talk to for like an hour plus, and it's usually something's got to get in the way to hop you off the phone. But we got to talking about all kinds of stuff, and I was just joking with him. And I don't know, I may have to do it. Like, a lot of people say you can't keep an Oscar and stuff the way that I keep aquariums and whatnot. And I'm just like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I almost need to get an Oscar at some point. But who knows? I'm just talking right now. We're just chit-chatting. But we were talking about what led us into that was the Juliachromis marleri. And if you guys don't know what those are smaller Tanganyikan cichlids, thinking about yay big. And it's got multiple generations and a 20-gallon long with no filter on it, no air stone, no nothing, and just lots of babies and fish that have come through there from them. Matter of fact, the whole point of this rack was for cichlids, because a lot of people believe that you can't keep cichlids in these no filter, no water change, no, which I don't recommend just no water change. I do still recommend some water changes. Just don't get crazy with them. Biologically sound water is the key point. Also, when it comes to planted aquariums of doing this no filter, no air stone kind of aquarium, it's not the plants that does all the work. A lot of people believe that it's all in the plants. And if anything, the plants can take away from the oxygen at night. But the way that they talk about it, it doesn't quite make sense, because I've got some tanks that are just flat out loaded with plants. And if they really did take out that much oxygen at night, like everything would already been dead. So I don't know. I think it does a little. It depends on, I don't know. It depends on the population. You're definitely not going to be able to keep as dense populations within certain tanks. And if you have too many plants with certain species, just because of that lack of oxygen, you can definitely, if you add oxygen to a tank, you can definitely increase the load that you keep in those aquariums. But they're not necessary. Not everybody's looking to breed 100 guppies or whatever. But there's just so many ways to keep aquariums. Let me just say that. And still, no questions. You guys are just going to let me ramble on about this. There we go. Holy moly. $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Danikin Aquatics, for that support. Really, really appreciated. Still trying to fund the rest of this plumbing project on the fish room. Those valves, they're not cheap. It's not the cheapest system to create a water change system, but it is definitely flexible, durable, and I don't know. I think it's a great way to change the water in your fish room, which you guys will be seeing a lot of that. You guys have seen a lot of that. I did the inflow video just recently this week, but Danny Ken Aquatics with $10 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. It says, I think I can work. All depends on stocking. I think it can work. All depends. Oscar and no filter. I think it can. I think you'll still need to do water change. So what happens, and what I was telling him, is the reason why it's harder for cichlid keepers to do this method, or maybe some other people to do this method, is their tanks are usually too clean. So you can't have like a sterile cichlid tank and then decide, I'm going to turn off my filter, I'm going to turn off my air. You're going to want at least a good amount of beneficial bacteria, mold, and stuff like that. So say if you did have a canister filter, you would be better off taking that canister filter, cleaning it out in your aquarium. I know it would look terrible like the first couple hours, but you could take that canister filter, clean it out into your aquarium. All that beneficial bacteria would spread out to it. Now it would create mold all over the place. You would see it. The fish would probably eat up on it, all over it, but that would create enough biologically sound material and bacterial to eat any of the pee and poop that your fish does in the aquarium, because all that beneficial bacteria and that mold eats off of that stuff. So say if you're starting an aquarium from the very beginning and you start seeing, like for my axolotls in instance, with them, they have bigger poops. And at first I was seeing them on the substrate, and I'm like, that's really unsightly. I don't really know about that. I think I'm gonna have to like start doing some maintenance and cleaning up on these aquariums. But I didn't. I just let nature take its course. Didn't do any water changes, anything like that. And what ended up happening, algae started covering them, and then beneficial bacteria started growing around it. And now there's enough of that that's like spread out naturally. And it's not like unsightly or anything. It looks real natural the way the stuff blends in. And now I don't see all that waste, and it actually helps create this ecosystem that will just take care of that sort of business for those bigger types of freshwater animals we like to keep. But Danikin, it was a great conversation with all that, because I don't always get to bounce information like that off of other people, and you're just a great guy to do that with. So I appreciate that and the support, brother. Thank you so much. And Chris Resecker, member 11 months, gold member, says no filter monster fish tank. If anybody can prove it can be done, it's you. Yeah, and I'm not running out there and saying like everybody should go and try this, because it does, I mean, I don't know. People will push blame to a lot of things whether it's right or wrong. Let me just put it that way. And you don't need to push that blame my way. But if you got to, whatever, I'll take it. Fish Capades, thank you. But Chris, thank you so much for the motivation and for those words. And the continued support. And Fish Capades, thank you so much for the awesome $5 super chat. That is super sweet of you. Says, great job on the new fish room. Really enjoyed these videos. Well, thank you, and glad you like them. Definitely with you guys telling me that you guys like them and hitting those like buttons and stuff, and the comments definitely helps motivate me to keep them going. Because yeah, it's a lot just trying to push all these videos out, trying to get everything built together. But I think we manage it well, and we enjoy what we do. Or I enjoy what I do. I always say we because Lady LRB, she helps me with the boxes. She helps feed me. It's a family thing. As anybody knows, teamwork makes the dream work. For the fish stuff, I mean, it's mostly my stuff. Besides the boxes. Which, everybody, thank you so much for all your orders and support. Fish Capades also asks, what's your favorite rainbow fish species and why? I'm going to have to go, it's a toss up between, shoot. I'm going to have to say three species, and it's going to have to be the Chilnithernia upper Tor River species, which is like a golden rainbow fish, but it can change colors to like pure black. So it can be like crazy gold looking, and then it can change colors to pure black and or pure white. It's really, really wild just to see it like go full bold color change. And I don't think many people have actually seen this or even recognize or appreciate or realize that even exists within these rainbow fish, because most people don't even know what those upper Tor Chilnithernia rainbow fish are. And I used to have them and breed them. I got a couple males still. I'm still looking for a proper strain of them, and hoping Gary will get me some here sooner than later. He went to Papua New Guinea, which I'm talking about Gary Lang. If you guys don't know, he's a huge rainbow fish collector. Goes out and collects a lot of those beautiful rainbows that we get as far as in the hobby. And really awesome guy. And I've got a fish room tour of his if you guys want to check that out. Let's see. Then the other one would be a Goldie-eyed Decay, which if you guys remember from a while ago in some of my older videos for you guys who have followed me for a long time, those were definitely my all-time favorites for a long time. Kind of like a blue and purple rainbow fish. Absolutely stunning. They get like kind of a discus kind of shape. So they don't stay as like slender. They get like more plate shaped. Pretty wild. And then the other one would be the Glossolepis maculosus, because it's so unique for a rainbow fish, where it has the spotting plus the green and the yellow combo with the black spots. It's pretty cool. It's pretty hot. It's a nice color combo. Being a designer, I could really appreciate that fish, but thank you, Fish Capades, for the support. Spec V Turbo says, hey Lucas, do you have experience with Ancestris Rio Intinez? I have a male and female, but can't get them to spawn. 7 pH, 72 degrees, 20-gallon long, caves, plants, etc. Maybe he's mad at his wife. 72 degrees is kind of chilly. I would maybe warm it up a little bit. So what you're telling the Ancestris, especially coming from the Rio Intinez, I'm sure like they're breeding out in 70, 80 degree water and just have caves for them. And sometimes, I don't know how long you've had them, a lot of them take quite a time to settle into their space and feel good. Another big trigger that can help you out is having driftwood in there, so there's always a constant source of something natural that tells them that, hey, if we do have babies, those babies are going to have something to eat, and they're not going to be hangry and want to eat their babies, because no fish is going to want to breed if they feel like they have to eat their young. Even though they still will, because they're just fish. But it's just that, I don't know, weird mechanisms within nature. And then, so after you do keep them warmer, and I would say around 78, 76, and if you want to go hotter to like 82 or something, even better, and then hit them with like a cold water change. That way it just brings in that cold water and it feels like it's coming down from the mountains and stuff. A lot of that'll trigger those types of fish that come from those regions. Mimic Nature says, do you feel like you can get optimal shrimp breeding without regular water changes? I would say water changes are better for shrimp. You will get a lot better breeding out of shrimp with water changes. For sure. Let's see. And same with airlines. You can get the populace of a lot more shrimp with an airline and water change. But you can still breed out shrimp like crazy without both. I mean, shoot, I've built a lot of this fish room off of shrimp. LaRueCourse.com. But see, my shrimp too, I've bred my shrimp out for a long, long time, just lining them up. So it's hard to beat my quality of shrimp. The few that I offer, and the reason why I only offer so few is like I am really picky about what I offer to you guys, because if it ain't like real legit, I'm not trying to give you guys some garbage. That way I don't get emails, because I don't like emails like that. Let's see. Shady Grady. What's up, brother? Glad to see you in here. Says, LRB, I finally able to get a nice group of mascara barbs. They are beautiful, and I was wondering what else I should feed them along with the tetracolor granules. They're very cute, 2 inches. I mean, Daphne is always good. Guppy grass. Guppy grass. So, guppy grass is like hay to them. They're like cows. I just keep some guppy grass in there and then feed them some granules. They'll be happy all day long. But anytime you can give them like live food treats. If you want to get wild, get some mosquito larvae. I don't know if you want to stick a bucket out near a door or something. You are bringing in mosquitoes that way. It's all up to you. Let's see. Spec V Turbo, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I really appreciate that, Spec V. Says, loving the way the fish room is coming together. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm happy with it. I'm super happy with it. I can't wait to get this all finished. Still quite a bit to do within here. And, yeah, I'm excited with it. We've come a long, long way. It's been a heck of a haul and a push, for sure. But if you build it, they will come. And I had to like catch up. I don't know if people were expecting me to like sell the old house and just like not keep hundreds of aquariums. But you guys that really know me know, shoot, this is what I love to do. Sith Lord, 1SW fan, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Awesome of you. Says, thanks for your time, LRB. Well, thank you so much for the support. Really, really appreciated, needed, and helpful right now. And also, if you guys haven't seen on the website, I do still got a 10% going on for this plumbing project. And I'll probably always have that buy 10 of anything and get one free going on. Especially for like guppy grass and things like that, because I got a ton of it. Rat Ride Rob says, what food do you feed baby plecos? So driftwood is good to have in your tank. And when I talk about driftwood for plecos, I'm talking about like softer driftwoods, like a Malaysian or a bogwood driftwood. Not anything like hard. And then leaf litter is primo for any kind of baby plecos or any plecos. You can do green beans, you can do algae wafers. You can even do spirulina. Be careful with spirulina though. You want to use it sparingly. And then Danikin Aquatics and I was talking about Plecos, and he was like, there's no way I can pull the plug on my Plecos, they'd all die. And I'm like, dude, I've kept them and bred them in these no filters. You got to think about, like, out in where a lot of these fish live, they'll have a rainy season and a dry season. During the rainy season, all the water comes up and it floods all these forest areas. And this is why land's so super fertile. And what ends up happening is all the water recedes, and yeah, all these fish were in rivers and stuff like that, but they all end up into shallow ponds and pools and stuff of water. And they live there until there's just not enough more water. And then after they decompose, they feed the soil. It's just a process of a cycle of renaturing, renutrienting the soils and stuff like that. And then that's kind of how I look at fish keeping when I want to think about my fish and how I'm keeping my fish and where that fish comes from. And the actual cycles throughout the year, not just what's going on at that time of collection. Scroll. Lady Diane, thank you so much for reminding everybody to throw the question mark behind their questions if they want them answered, because that's what I look for, especially when there's so much going on. And Rostan 2006 says, hi Lucas, I have Pseudomugula illuminatus pair breeding in a container with a mop, another container with around 50 fry. Can I add a pair of rocket killifish to the breeding container with illuminatus? I would not. I definitely would not. They're both topwater fish and very dominant type of fish when it comes to the top of the water. So the rocket fish would definitely give those Pseudomugula a hard time. And then you definitely wouldn't be getting any more breeding out of it. But you know what that means? Another tank, another container, and more fun. And that's why I try to do and teach what I do here. Like, yeah, I could keep filters. Yeah, I could do air stones. Yeah, I could do all this. I could do all that. And I could regurgitate everything else that everybody else is doing. But I want to show how there's a way to keep all this with just one person. And because I know how it's easy to get collectoritis in this aquarium hobby. It is like my number one like thing that has driven me through a lot of it was the collectoritis of this species, that species. And there's so many cool species to go through. And the way I look at it, and a lot of people look at aquarium keeping like, should you even be keeping aquarium fish? Yes, because a lot of these species do need conservation, and why I focus on a lot of certain species that I have now. And where was I going with that? I don't remember now, but yeah, I would not put those rocket fish in with those rainbow fish at all. And I just saw, man, I completely lost my mark where I was. There I am. Okay, Jason Hamilton, thank you so much for your support. I saw your question and I didn't want to miss it here. The clump of guppy grass, I put in my 15-gallon guppy tank with 10 guppies, kind of saltified to an extent, tinted the water and touch green. Would you let it roll or clean it out? Thanks. So, are you meaning like it kind of like mineralized over the leaves? So if you get like a mineralization that compacts over your leaves, it's because you got really hard water, and it will just do that. It will collect up to it. It actually happens in my fish room and just some of the tanks. And well, it kind of depends on the biomass of what's in there and how often I add water to it. But it's actually a food source for a lot of the fish. Since we've got lime and crushed coral pretty much all around us and underneath us, and which comes through the water, it actually has caked up on top of the tank like a biofilm would and created a solid cake, like thin piece. And it's pretty wild how it can do that, how that mineralization can do that. But it's nothing to worry about, and guppies especially, great for guppies. Matter of fact, I put those rocks into my guppy aquariums just so they have that natural mineralization that they can intake and ingest. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. I'd let it roll. Kendrick Hughes says, oh, he's talking to Jeff. I don't know who Jeff. He's talking to somebody else. Okay. Brandy. Let me get my finger to work there. Brandy Rutledge, thank you so much for the support. The $10 super chat says, Peacock Gungans are making hundreds of babies. All of their tanks are pure strain guppies and neos. I have a swarm. How to sell? When can we get your bluegrass guppies? I'm in love. So with those bluegrass guppies, there's a lot of babies still growing out. You know how they take time to grow out, so you're looking at months for them to get a certain size. If you don't mind babies, I can hook you up with babies. I just still don't know how well they'll actually produce to like their parents yet. So until I know that, I don't know. I just haven't wanted to offer them until I actually know that. Until then, I may offer babies once I know that those babies will look like they're supposed to look. But if you want to take the gamble of the same gamble that I'm doing myself, I could definitely work with you if you didn't want to wait. I do got quite a few babies of them. They keep spitting them out. But a big reason why I want to get a water change system in here is to grow those up faster, because water change systems and water changes do grow your fish out quicker. And as far as how to sell your guppies, neos, and stuff, so there's multiple ways. You just got to think about the world and all the marketplaces and avenues. There is so many marketplaces and avenues. You got Etsy, you got eBay, you got Amazon, you got local fish stores, you've got clubs, you've got Facebook with like plants and stuff. You can't really do fish and shrimp. And then you also do your own website, you do your own marketing. You can create markets, or you can go into other markets. So it's really about thinking about where to set up shop. And there's always supply and demand for stuff. And if the price is right, people will always buy. So that's the best way to think about that as far as like how to sell. And then when it comes to actually doing it and executing the sales of it, is going through, okay, this is the marketplace, this is the venue I want to sell through, this makes the most sense for me. There's also like Vivi. People sell on Vivi. There's Get Gills. There's all kinds of marketplaces and ones you can create. And yeah, just once you know your venue, then you go through it from there. But sounds like things are going well for you. That is awesome about the peacock gungans. I know people are always wanting those peacock gungans. That's especially since they're a seasonal type of fish too. So in the wholesale market of peacock gungans, they usually only come in around this time of year, actually. I don't know if they have landed in yet, but it won't be until, I mean, some places can like string them in, still get them, but there's not as much availability to them throughout the year as there is in like the fall. So if you keep those things breeding all year round, you'll always have demand. But thank you so much, Brandy, for that support and that super chat. Thank you. And sorry if I'm missing anybody's questions. I'm trying my best to get through this all. Keith Hoagland says, how many rope fish you have now? So I have 3 in the barn, 1 that actually needs to come in here, which will give me a total of 4. And eventually I want to reset their whole tank. It's neat watching them in the rock and how they actually go through it and stuff, but I want to put them in more like a branch and leaf litter, kind of like a reed. I want to do more of a reed because they are reed fish. And a reed's like cattails and stuff like that coming up out of the tank and water. So I do eventually want to redo their tank. But I don't know, hard to get into that right now. There's a plus, I want to get this Glar's tank on my table too, but I got to get the water change system done before all of that. So a little bit at a time. Lars K, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, buddy. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Dude, you're so awesome. One of the biggest supporters ever that I've ever had. So glad to see you back around, and thank you again for the support. Let's see. I know there were some other questions right where I was. Oh, well, I'm going to have to, sorry once again if I'm missing your question. Daniel McNamara says, hey, LRB, I'm floating my pro weed, but it seems to split into pieces rather than growing as long stems like Kambamba. Is that normal, or is there a way to keep it from spreading like that? So, yeah, it definitely does not grow like Kambamba. That's more of like a stem plant. This is more like a carpeting spreading type of plant, and it's very natural for it to propagate itself through small pieces. And then, because what it's doing is it's sending off like satellites to go get attached and grow out to other stuff. Glad you could make it, Jason Wilson. Henry Figueroa says, are there any updates on getting more Nothobranchius? I am itching for more. So I'll send an email out and see what I can find, but I'll have to do that. Should be about time that he's ready. We'll see. I do have, what was that other killifish you want? The Sheelai? I think I still have a pair of those. So if you want that pair of Sheelai, let me know. I can hook you up with them. I actually been hanging on to that pair of Sheelai for you. Jay Hydro, have you read Mini Angelfish? If so, did you find a method that triggered spawning the best? I brought a super high quality breeding pair from Steve Rebecca, but after a month they still haven't bred. So I know cold water changes can trigger them as well. You want to keep them warmer, and you want to keep them in a space where they don't really get disturbed much. You don't want to be in their tank a lot, and you got to feed them high proteins. And play that sweet, sweet, sweet soul music. That'll help them out. And then the question goes, do you move them, or do you let them spawn together, or do you move the eggs? And when you're breeding angelfish, in my opinion, having a dirty, no-filter, moldy tank is actually a pretty good idea with breeding out baby angelfish, because they will eat and peck off of all that mulm and detritus instead of each other so much. And then as far as removing them from your parents, I don't know. Not all angelfish are the same, so you're not always going to get the same results. Like some parents it may affect, some parents it may not affect if you take out the eggs. And some parents may take multiple times to be good parents. Some parents will just be phenomenal from the get-go. So I would recommend when you're first breeding them to just really watch your pair of angelfish and find out more about them and the way that they will take care of their young, and then that will help you determine that question or the answer to that question. Rustan 2000 says the Pseudomugula illuminatus and Pascae, same fish. They are the same fish. Spec V Turbo says, Lucas, once everything is done in the fish room, do you have plans? Have it open to the public to come buy fish locally? I don't know. I don't really. No, I prefer not to have to worry about public coming in and out of my property. I'd be getting triggered with PTSD or some shit, and people come try to get on my property at the wrong time. That just would not be good. Joe MTL says, hi, Lucas. I have antlers. In your experience, do your females reach adulthood? I find only my males are getting to be adult. So what I tend to find out with actually with guppies more than endlers is a lot of the females will take over and dominate over the males. Like, just because they get so huge and hungry. But a lot of people say it has to do with water temperatures. If you're getting more males than females, and or I don't know if there's a social thing within like their hierarchy or the strains. I've seen certain strains be different as far as what they pop out and how they do things. And also, so say if you don't have enough females to balance off one ratio of males, sometimes they can overpower as they grow up as well. So that could be one thing and reason why you would have more males reach adulthood. Diego Domingos says, do you think Pandagars and Neocardinas would spawn together in a shared 10-gallon tank? I wouldn't really keep a Pandagara in a 10-gallon tank personally. They get good size, and they really do need space, the Pandagars. And they would eat up some Neocardinas in a 10-gallon for sure. But I did keep Pandagars and Neocardinas in a 75-gallon together. I had a nice rock pile in there. Now, and lots of pulpitis and places for the shrimp to be able to take off and get away from, and they maintain population for years with rope fish in there, rainbow fish in there, Pandagars in there. There's still a ton. I mean, I'm pretty sure that tank's still going with shrimp. Mimic Nature says, when growing out fish fry, some get bigger faster than others. How much concern is there for larger fry eating smaller fry? I have some Danios and some are twice the size of others. So you definitely, if possible, want to pull those bigger ones out. Gary used to call them runners when it comes to rainbow fish. They're real notorious for this, where they'll get like the bigger ones that just alpha everybody, and they just seem to grow a lot faster. And you want to try to pull those runners, those faster growers, out into their own section. That way they don't cause problems for the rest of the fry. And especially Danios too, because they're always like busy with each other. Kendrick Hugh says, it's my first time breeding Neocaridina shrimp, and I just got fry from my yellow golden bags. Should I move them to a new tank with just some plant sand substrate and some snails? No, I would leave them where they are. If you've got shrimp breeding, do not move them. Let them do their thing. And be sure to just make sure they get food. And what I do is I just put touch colored tropical granules in there, kind of break it up a little bit. That way it kind of spreads out and around everywhere, and then they end up getting some food somewhere by the time it falls. But yeah, you don't want to move your baby shrimp from, and or parents from your shrimp. Keep them all together. They work more as in a society of taking care of each other than separate, and if you actually separate them, it becomes a problematic Spec V Turbo says, Lucas, what size do Bosmani rainbow fish start breeding? I got about 13, some are about 2.5 inches. They're super colorful, already firing up nicely. So if they're firing up, if you're seeing that line come onto their head and they're like wiggling at the females and or at each other, then that's a surefire sign that they're probably already breeding for you. And 2.5 inches, it's big enough. Edwin, I don't know how to pronounce that last name, but Edwin says, how do you feed your plants? Like, I feel like I could pronounce it, but I could go a couple different ways. But he says, how do you feed your plants? So I used to feed with a micro and macro nutrients, doing a EI method, which is an estimated index method, which is pretty much you guess what your tank needs as far as your nutrients by what is coming out of your tap water, what you know is in your water, and or what you're feeding into the water, and or the biomass of what's in the tank. This is how I used to feed my plants. And now I pretty much just do water changes. There's enough mineralization and stuff. That, and I don't have a whole lot of crazy stems and CO2 where I'm like trying to pump them up and steroid up plants. So I don't really have to do anything like that. So now nothing has had any fertilization for months. And or water changes. Shoot, I've been growing, like, as far as my plants right now, no water changes, no ferts, no nothing, just fish food and fish poo. That's about all they're eating right now. Come on, finger work. Sith Lord 1 SW fan again, $10 super chat. Thank you so much for the awesome support. It says, LRB, do you mind talking about your background? So my background as far as like aquariums are just my whole life. Let me know what you mean about that. And I don't mind. You guys can ask me questions about anything. I really don't mind. I'm pretty much an open book. I don't have anything to hide from you guys. I couldn't live my life that way. I don't get how people live their lives in lies. Like, that's just such a mind F for yourself. I could never. So I'm an open book. You can ask me whatever. How hard is it to breed chili raspberries? Asked Brandy Rutledge. I have no clue because I haven't personally bred them myself. I think the water is kind of important as far as you just need some softness to it. But I think if you get some subwater tang, dark situation, as far as like a darker tank, not a whole lot of light. And the thing about subwater tang is it can grow with very little light. And like softer, like 150 TDS, 100, maybe even 80. Between that range, probably like 80 to 150 TDS range. And then, yeah, just somewhere for them to scatter their eggs on. But I also don't know if, because some raspberries will actually lay their eggs up underneath stuff. So I don't know if they may do that as well. I think they just drop them off and scatter them around. But I personally have not bred them. They're out on my bucket list to breed those. Those and the Kobatai raspberries. I just never had a chance at the old house I was at. It had hard water, so I didn't really get a good chance. I did have the RO system with the hard water, but I don't know. I never got around and had the right sections to get into all the tetra breeding, which I hope to do around here. And Lars K says, love your content. Well, I appreciate that, Lars. I don't know why I said like a $5 super chat, didn't I? Another $5 super chat? Did you super chat me twice, Lars? Either way, bro, you know how much you're appreciated. And I love you for it. Thank you, man. Thank you. M Ninja 4F says, got the 1-up sticker. The Hungry Hippo with the $2 super chat. Thank you, thank you. Ninja 4F. Appreciate that. Well, thank you, Patty. I appreciate that. Glad to see you around too. Or Patty's Aquatics. How hard? Oh, I already read that. Okay. Ninja 4F says, "What about discus fish I kept with angels?" Yeah, you can keep them with angels. They're both kind of cichlids. Just watch their temperament. So discus are a lot like chickens, to where they got a pecking order or a hierarchy. Sometimes there could just be that one mean chicken. If you know anything about chickens, I don't know, but they're like water chickens. Let me just say that. But watch out for their hierarchy. If you see like one being pushed off into a corner and you see a lot of like chewing on the side, or looks like they got a hole on the side, there could usually be some fighting. But you can keep them together, just keep an eye out on them. Man, I felt like I had to get back to something, but now I can't connect that. Ruston 2006 says, another question is, can I have more than one species of cories in a tank? I have pandas, but would like to get a different species, but do not want them to crossbreed. So that I do not know so much as far as how cory cats can crossbreed and what would crossbreed with what. So I couldn't help you with that. If you can do more than one species, I don't know. I know there's like different types out there that would be less likely to cross, but I don't know. I think there's enough cory cats. I wouldn't really go into crossing them, and I know you don't want to cross them. I would just say it's a gamble. I guess it's new tank time. Oh yeah, it was that question if I want to go through my background. I'll be looking for. Finally got back down to that. Oh, your education, any college biology. So my education, I had gone to school for graphic design. And then we went through engineering design, architectural design, mechanical design, whatever, multimedia design. So I collected the whole perspective of how design is within everything. Then I was able to attach that to my natural love of biology, which I've just always had growing up as a kid. My parents were divorced, so one pair lived in the city, one pair lived in the country, so I got both worlds there. And between the design and just like, I don't know, the passion of what I love to do. And I've always kind of, like with sciences, I've always like followed a lot of like PBS stuff and National Geographic, all that kind of stuff. But you know what? I can't even watch that stuff anymore. I cannot. That stuff, a lot of it just, after, after you go through a lot of what is taught and dribbled and a collective of kind of the concepts and theories and how things relate and connect, you can see a lot of biased agendas within a lot of what is pushed anymore. It's kind of sad to see, but unfortunately, science and education has been manipulated a lot, in not a good way, not in a proper fashion on how it used to be too. There used to be certain rules and things that people would follow for their projects and discussions. But yeah, as far as education, design is mostly my background for my education, which was rough because I had to work full time too, going through it all. Like I had to pay myself through it, work through it. It was not easy. Went to school full time and worked full time. If anybody has ever done that, you guys know how that goes. Not easy. Christopher Secker says, would be so cool to see how Aquatic Peace is doing with the old fish house. I agree, would be so cool. I would love to be able to see that. But, you know, not everybody is into the whole YouTube thing, unfortunately. Can't force things on people. One thing I've learned in life is you just can't force things. Like, yeah, you can have an idea and perspective on where you want to go through things and make things happen, but more things you try to hard force things, a lot harder it can be for you. You know, if you can go through the flow and use the power of the flow, you could push through about damn near anything. Mimic Nature says, have you found peacock gudgeons to be aggressive? All my research led me to believe they were a good community fish, but the ones I got were aggro. Had to get rid of them. So sometimes they can kind of be picking at each other. It's not always a huge problem. I think it's just kind of how they interact with each other that can kind of seem aggressive. But I don't think they can actually do much damage to each other. And Sith Lord, one SW fan again. Thank you so much for that $2 super chat. It says thank you. And yeah, no problem. I'm glad to be able to answer that for you. And shoot, let me know if you want to know anything else. Like, big reason why I got into aquariums was keeping them. As a kid, my dad always had extra aquariums, and we used to just throw stuff from the creek out there. And I mean, being a kid and like, we had Nintendo and stuff like that, but you know, those games were all right. But I'd still just love to go out. I was blessed enough to have a creek in a couple of my backyards growing up from where my parents were living, and I would just spend most of my time just down there, just enjoying life and collecting whatever. And it wasn't until after I got out of college again that I ended up getting a tank again. And then I found out you could put plants in it. And that's when it got crazy for me. Once I knew you could put plants in aquariums, oh my God. I was so hooked. So hooked. Like, what? You can create all these ecosystems? What? There's all these types of plants. And at that time, there was only like the forums you can get on. Like planettank.net, Aquatic Plant Central, Monster Aquaria. And there wasn't even Facebook or anything like that for, like, a little bit was being done on YouTube, which I didn't even really get into YouTube at that time because YouTube wasn't even that popular. I don't even think I had a YouTube account. And it wasn't until I got on the forum that I got a YouTube account just to post a picture or post a video on that forum of my aquarium, which is kind of funny because if I would have thought about it in hindsight back then, like, I should have been doing the YouTube thing back then, because I was collecting all kinds of crazy plants from all around the world, all over the place. Just awesome stuff. And that was when shrimp were first starting to come out too in the hobby. I was always on the forefront of trying to get the new stuff. Then I finally got out of an apartment and into a house, and shoot, game over. I started moving tanks in. That, and I was working construction full time. And because I didn't want an office desk. Granted, I had a degree in graphic design. I could not sit at a desk all day. There's no way I would be passing out. I'd be so bored. I'd be asleep. So I decided to not do what I went to school for, and then got into construction, which was the smartest thing that could have happened to me, because not only did I have the perspective of design, but then I started learning the constructive part about how to execute design and implement what you want to do. So now, I mean, shoot, if I put my mind to it, I can build all kinds of innovative stuff. Matter of fact, there's a few things that I would like to create someday, given the time. Shoot, I've got $1 billion home organization system that could just change the whole freaking way we keep stuff. And not to mention, if ever get a hold of the right filter company. Nathan Berry says, I'm looking for your endless tonight. What you got? Love your setups. My endlers tonight. As far as what's on the website, I do got lime green endlers on the website. I have some I'm kind of hoarding. I think I got some blue stars and some rainbow tiger endlers, but not on the website yet. I haven't quite got those on there. I gotta go let this cat in. We are close to the 10-minute mark. Oh, and Fish and Outdoors with Lando says, ask Sarah, do you sell plants? And Sarah is Lady LRB, aka Plant Lady Sarah. She sells the house plants and stuff on the website that we have, and she's got an awesome collection. She actually just did a tour of her plant room. Okay, cat, you're tearing up the door. She did a tour on her plant room on her channel. There you go, kitty. All right, had to get the cat. Look at that Bacopa. All right, we're near the hour mark, so hopefully we don't hop off here. M Ninja 4F. Hey, girl. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. See, I got some water change system ready to go. Meow. Hi, kitty. All right. She's going to want to be walked back home. Let me get Ron Harriman says, let's see some of your tanks, LRB. That's why I started tuning into this channel. I love all the good info. But watching you sit right there the whole time, not so much when going to see some footage. So that's the hard part, is just doing it on the internet here. They are working on fiber optics out here. And like I said, I will be doing a fish room tour here soon about what all is going in here. There's some crepes. There's some pearlweed, which I don't know how well it picks this stuff up because there's so many leaves in there. It's so hard for things to get picked up. And this pond thing's crazy. This is probably the craziest community of just rainbow fish, centered on his catfish. There's a little baby half-beak floating up there, really hard to see on this camera. Killifish. What did I say? Endler, CPD, Shellies, Congo Tetras. These are about to be, I gotta clean these out. We're gonna do a whole fish room tour anyways. So I don't want to show everything and all that, but I can give you guys a quick kind of spin around what's in here. Meow, I hear you, kitty. Kitty's so ready to go home, but as you can see, all the lights are starting to turn off. Some of these tanks don't even have lights on them either, like these Endler and Guppy tanks over here. Now, if I were to go down here with the internet, it would probably definitely kick off. But this is an aquarium plant. This isn't like pothos like people do. This is actual like Brazilian pennywort that's just grown crazy. I do wish the lights were on this, because it's wild how this plant's it's taken over this whole bottom row of tanks. Meow. Meow, kitty. There's all the fish. They're all up at front. Millennium Orange Albinos, but I've got quite a few breeding projects. I just can't wait to get things organized. Like, those are full of fry, a few fry in there, some clown killies in there. Just hodgepodge of things. Rainbow tiger endlers, classical incest rainbow fish. There's plecos in there, Synodontis catfish in there, pygmy chain loaches in there with the Dalmatian guppies, Cory blue platies. And then these are just loaded with guppy babies. And then these are loaded with rice fish and loaded with guppies. But eventually this will be my plant section. This is supposed to be my cichlid section, but I kind of feel like I need a rice fish section. And then this will be more like my display. So I am going to end up finishing this off. This will be more of my display tanks in the wall. But then back there is what I'll consider my lab. So that's where I'll be like working on like tetra breeding projects and just little fun things, breeding different fish. And then this is all for shrimp. This whole section area, which it has a 20 by 20 long rack that holds 20 longs. And behind that is the same 40 setup as here. So there's 12 40 gallons. And then behind there, this is all fry grow out, which is 79 20 longs from this whole back wall to this. So it goes all the way down. This is all fry grow out. So all the fish that I breed within the lab here and in other situations, I'll be able to put out there and just be able to organize that stuff, which will be awesome. And then this is all going to be focused for rainbow fish. And then these are probably going to either be breeding and or display. I haven't made up my mind yet. And then guppies, and then endlers, and then more breeding displays, which I don't know, it's kind of tough because some of these tanks, like this tank produces an endless amount of fry for me for the Pagayi, Chilenothernia rainbow fish. And then same thing with like this 75 here, endless amount of fry of dwarf neon rainbow fish. Like I could collect them endless amount. I just have nowhere to breed them and raise out all those babies. Now I do with the fry rack system I put up. And then same thing with my Hypolepterus sailfin shiners up here. Endless amount of babies. So some of these tanks just constantly push out babies, which will make it hard to like, I don't know, makes it hard to be like, okay, I really want to do this, this, and this. It's hard to do to display tanks, especially when there's so many cool fish that need to be bred within this hobby and shared to y'all and give you guys something a little different than what the big box office or the big box stores offer. All right, Kat. And like this tank, it looks horrible, but it's really not that bad. It's just because the glass. But see, I got Pandagaras in here, so that's why I keep that glass is good for them. I don't know if we'll be able to see in there very well, but you can see the water is not all nasty. It's just the glass. And these guys are doing good, the barbs. A little update for you guys, but all right. Jason Hamilton, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Says, so funny thing happened yesterday. I bought a tropical fish store for $200. Could you check it out and tell me what you think? It's on YouTube. Name of videos is in the quotes. Thanks. Could you check it out and tell me what you think? It's on YouTube. Name of video is in the quotes. Thanks. Yeah, link the video into the comments after this live and I'll check it out. You bought a tropical fish store for $200? That's wild. That's a steal of a deal if I ever heard of one. And Henry Figaro, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, do I send you an email about the fish? And the other fish I wanted was the Fundulopan checks. Thank you for all that you do. Yeah, the Fundulopan checks, Shilai. And yeah, just send us an email and we'll work it out from there. But thank you guys all so much for the awesome support tonight and for joining us on this Q&A. Chris Resecker says, is that a 7-year-old killifish still kicking? He is. Let me see if I can find him. So it's that killifish that like turned black and white, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's gonna die, he's going out, death sentence every time, you know? And usually that it would be the case. I think I do see him. Oh, come on, don't move. Oh, there, he's actually that black and white again. He went back to that black and white. I don't know if you guys can see him through, but his tail and his head are right there. He's got that black and white thing going again. But I cannot believe that thing is still alive. Oldest killie freaking ever. That killifish has lived a crazy life. Crazy, crazy life. But thank you guys all so much for joining and watching. Can't wait to get these tanks cleaned up. So when I do water change system, I'll be able to keep things a little nicer. I don't know, it's so tough, the natural and then, because these are breeding tanks. What do you think, kitty? You just want to go home, huh? All right, let me get the cat home. I appreciate you all. Thank you all so much for the support, for watching. And until next time, everybody, peace. Have a great one and enjoy the weekend. Aquarium.com